Okay, I know I'm not the first one to say or think this, but it can't be coincidence that Hayden Christensen showed up at Star Wars Celebration this year after not having attending one for something like 10 years. And not surprisingly, in the two interviews I saw him give during the show, I think the fan reaction to him was great, which is no doubt exactly what Lucasfilm wanted to see, because it's only a matter of time before, rightfully so, Hayden returns to the role of Anakin Skywalker and is seen as a Force ghost in this new trilogy. Now, everyone has their opinions on the prequels, and I really don't want to get into all that right now. But as I've said before, I like the prequels, though I can certainly admit they were not perfect movies. Hayden's performance may not have been Oscar worthy, but I really don't blame him for that. He was more or less just a kid at the time, jumping into basically the biggest, most beloved movie franchise in history, tasked to play possibly the most iconic character of all time, Darth Vader, or the guy who would eventually become Darth Vader. And let's not forget that he had to do it all under the direction of George Lucas, who certainly didn't allow Hayden much room for freedom with his role. Personally, I think Hayden took a lot of flack for something that really wasn't his fault, and I think, or want to believe, that those who once blamed Hayden for the prequels not being what they wanted them to be are starting to change their stance and realize that, perhaps, he should get another chance to play Anakin Skywalker. I could be wrong about that, and if I am, feel free to let me know in the comments. But if you ask me, not having Anakin Skywalker in one of these next two movies, in some way, shape, or form, played of course by Hayden Christensen, would be perhaps the biggest mistake this new trilogy could make. As I've said before, I would love to see a scene between Anakin and Luke. It could be one of the best and most powerful scenes in all of Star Wars to see a talk between father and son, and not just the brief talk they had at the end of Return of the Jedi. But as I've also said before, I don't think Luke is all too interested in hearing from the Force Ghost right now, even his father. I think he is actively rejecting their visits, and is easily powerful enough and capable of doing so. Simply put, I don't think that Luke buys into the ways of the prequel era Jedi anymore, and is up to something that the Force Ghosts likely don't agree with. What that might be, I won't speculate on here, but I very much think Luke is doing something that goes against their teachings, and the Force Ghosts fear there may be dire consequences either for the galaxy or the Force, or maybe even just for Luke himself. Though likely Luke doesn't see it that way, and thinks what he's doing is right and necessary. He may very well even blame the Force Ghosts for what happened to his new Jedi Order, because almost certainly the Force Ghosts were helping Luke rebuild the Order, likely by giving him guidance or advice, or maybe even helping him find new Force-sensitive individuals. But they didn't warn him of Ben's impending fall to the dark side, either because they didn't see it, or couldn't tell him for one reason or another. But Luke still feels they could have or should have stopped it in some way. Now my best guess here, and I could be way off, is that throughout the course of her training, Rey is going to suspect something is wrong with Luke, or that he's not being completely honest with her. I believe we the audience will also be given these same feelings and impressions. I think at one point she'll go exploring, or go somewhere that Luke has instructed her not to, and that's when she'll come across the old Jedi texts like we see in the trailer. As she's trying to read them, and likely they'll be in an ancient language she doesn't understand, she'll sense something and whirl around, and standing there will be the Force Ghost of Anakin Skywalker. Hell, I can even hear the Force theme kick in as this happens. Of course, Anakin will tell her who he is, and then he'll tell her what is written in those ancient texts. Rey will seem confused because that's not what Luke's been teaching her. And that's when Anakin will tell her what his son is really up to, and how dangerous it is. This could also be the absolute perfect moment for Rey to have her origins or true purpose revealed to her, and of course us the audience. And maybe once Rey hears all this, and learns the truth, she will no longer want any part of this and threatens to walk away from all of it. Which is when Anakin could be the one to tell Rey that Luke is her father, and that it seems to be the destiny of all Skywalker children to save their fathers. And maybe Luke doesn't even know that she is his daughter. And of course, she may not be Luke's daughter, and if she isn't, the scene can still pretty much play out the same way, with Anakin explaining to her that Luke has lost his way before pleading with her to save his son and stop him from what he's doing. And then as Rey's leaving, she comes across Luke standing at the entrance of the cave, like we see in the trailer. Luke, likely having sensed his father's presence, will ask Rey, "What did he tell you?" At this point, Rey could tell him just about anything. She could even try to lie to him, but Luke will likely know exactly what Anakin has just told her. And that's when he'll say that he doesn't care what his father believes, or what Yoda believes, or what any of them believe. It's time for the Jedi to end, and that he will not train her in the old ways because they didn't work. Evil cannot be stopped by simply maintaining balance, but instead by destroying it. And maybe Luke now believes that learning to tame and control the dark side, without giving into it, is the best way to combat those who would seek to use it to further their own agendas. Or maybe, as I suggested in my previous video, Luke feels the Jedi should no longer seek to carry out the will of the Force, that it shouldn't be just used for knowledge and defense, as Yoda said in The Empire Strikes Back, but that they should use the light side as a weapon to combat the darkness and eradicate it. Now sure, it likely won't play out exactly like that, but I do feel like I could be on the right track, especially about there being a rift between Luke and the Force Ghosts. You could also just as easily have it be Yoda who first appears to Rey and tells her the truth, or even Obi-Wan, especially if she does somehow turn out to be his granddaughter. Either way, I think Luke will not be training Rey in a way the Force Ghosts approve of, but instead he will be training her to become either what he thinks the Jedi should become, or because he has use for her in some respect, and needs a warrior, not just a keeper of the peace. Anyway, I personally just feel that not including the Force Ghosts in this movie, at least in some way, would be a mistake for many reasons. For one, it'd be a wasted opportunity to tie the three trilogies together, and to maybe give us a bit of information on just what Force Ghosts can and cannot do. Yes, we did get a lot of information about them, especially how to become one, in Season 6 of the Clone Wars, and although I don't need or even want them fully explained, having a baseline for just what they can and can't do, or what they can share with the living about the Force, would be nice to know. Also, let's please get a scene between Luke and Anakin, of the father now trying to save his son from whatever it might be that's troubling him. Even if you hate the prequels, and blame Hayden Christensen for everything wrong in the entire world, there has to be a part of you that could appreciate just how great of a moment that could be for Star Wars. And perhaps between Anakin and Rey's pleas, Luke will be convinced to return to the Jedi ways, and in Episode 9, we see Luke teach Rey as Yoda once taught him. Furthermore, we will get to see on screen Luke Skywalker be the hero and great powerful Jedi some of us have been waiting to see for well over 30 years now. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Now it's your turn to let me know what you think. Do you want to see Hayden Christensen reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker in this new trilogy? Has he also been forgiven by fans who once thought it was his fault that the prequels were maybe not what they expected them to be? Let me know in the comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. Also, if you like this video, check out some of my other videos or go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you've already done all that, then thank you so much for your continued support. If you want to know when I upload new videos, hit the notification button or just follow me on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching.